emerges from beneath the sand. The instinctive miracles seem so far away. Across this universe, she lives another day. I know the reason she stays. I know the reason she's so far away. I know the reason she stays. I know the reason she's so far away. She's so far away.
cow looking like it was using tall wooden legs that appeared from time to time to say, like, yeah, I know you can do it. You have my trust. When I was little, I had a tree outside my bedroom window, and the moonlight spread its shadow across my ceiling. And sometimes when I woke up in my groggy state, it looked like spider webs. Probably. It's hard to tell. But that doesn't mean that you should stop dreaming. The feeling I get from this is waking up in the middle of the night from a nightmare that you thought was real but really isn't. These dreams are weird. You pick up your phone and no one is there. And for a while I was really scared of them. Like, it's definitely something that doesn't happen every day. But once I knew what was going on and why it was happening, it made a lot more sense, and I became okay with it.
Hi everybody, let me just turn the volume down. Not my volume, the music. I think this should be okay. Hi everybody. Let me just clear the screens here. Johnny. Hi. Haven't seen you like in 2 days or something like that. That dude, that Twitch streamer, how it's called, Matt Work had stream, yeah, right? Okay, so nice having you everybody here, and we'll be talking about bunch of nonsense today. Nothing really exact topic. We will be going through some of the projects, some of the ideas, updates on some of my previous videos. We'll be writing a list for a couple of next videos. One of them is something that Mr. Johnny has mentioned that he would like to see, or somebody has mentioned in Mark's stream. This is the component I'm using in my main setup, not a recording setup, main setup. But first, hi, I'm really glad I could make it. There was a tiny bit of chance that I would miss my own stream, but I did manage to go to Slovenia and back, and then visit friends for a party and come back, and now I'm here. And once again, I want to thank today's sponsor. Once again, it's a as budget energy drink, cranberry. And no, of course, as always, I'm just joking. I just have stash of them, and I drink only one, and only on stream. So nice seeing you, Jan. Nice seeing you, and Rasby. Hi once again. So what's the weather there? Yesterday evening and night we had really large storm, but now it's around 27, 28, very sunny. It's currently, it was even 30 degrees centigrade last week, so it's a bit higher than we would normally have at this time, but global warming for you. This stream is sponsored by channel members. By the way, Johnny, in regard to that, I'm currently at 40 YouTube channel members, and I was thinking of doing once in a month stream just for channel members, but we would really need to find time that fits a lot of people. I know a couple of channel members are in Australia, so I really would like to have as many channel members as possible. I know that out of 40, probably 20 never watch live streams, they watch recordings, but I really wanted to do something for channel members. Hi Niksha. Hi, thank you. So in Arizona, yeah, same here. We usually thank you Niksha. We usually have at May, it can go roughly between 25, 26, 27 degrees. It usually is mostly sunny, so we usually have very nice weather, but I can't remember when was the last time we had 30 degrees in spring. And especially since week before that, or 2 weeks before that, no, it was like we had snow or almost snow one day, and 2 days later we had 25 degrees, so it was really terrible. But yeah, so I managed to drink coffee in Maribor today and got back. I'm a bit confused of all the driving, and there was really a long queue at the border on my way there, so I was afraid that it would be the same thing when I was getting back. But yeah, let me show you what I'm currently watching here. It should be this one, yeah. I'm currently watching flights over Zagreb, and it is of course related to my previous video. And why? In the last couple of days I don't have that window open, or let me change the window. Come on. So this is how I see the window. Let it refresh. It likes refreshing. And by the way, Niksha, I don't know if you noticed, this yellow thing here is rain. It is currently over Ljubljana. Who knows, maybe we will have rain. I've noticed this airplane. I think it's either sightseeing plane, meaning that the plane is just circling around the center of the city, or it's school. Although I don't think it's a school flight, because school flights usually shouldn't go above populated areas. And this one, for the last couple of days, has been circling like this over center of the city. It has really nice route. It goes from the airports for the how it's called, civil aviation. It goes up towards the center of the city, does loop over the center of the city, and then goes back. Why it doesn't? Oh yeah. Every day it's been doing the same flight route for the last, I would say, week. I didn't see it every day, but whenever I've seen it in the last week, it has been doing the same thing. Hi, Mitch, if I pronounced your name. Thank you very much. Yeah, 25. Yeah, so roughly the same temperature as he. Hi, nobody, and thanks for the conversion. And I still haven't moved this to permanent location. It's still hooked up to my recording setup, so antenna is in the middle of the apartment with the walls and everything between it and the signal. But I really like it. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a tweet, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, from the how it's called, ADS-B, when they said that because of this exchange of data, somebody managed to they had aircraft that was in trouble and it was flying below the radar, but because of all this data supplied by people like us who have this system at our house, they were able to spot the plane, provide it with the help, etc. It's really nice. No, unfortunately I haven't. And thanks, Office Data. Unfortunately, no. But this plane I will definitely catch, because if I manage to catch it in a week at least 4 or 5 times already, and as I said, I already know the flight plan, I guess that it is probably doing the same thing a couple of times a day. Oh, look at that updating. So if I manage to get any aircraft, that would be this one here. There are a couple of aircrafts now parked, probably preparing for flight. Let's see. This one is scheduled to go to MLA. What is that? Malta. I really like. This is definitely the integration that you don't need, and you have no benefit of it, or maybe the only benefit is for you to see what's going on. But it's so fun. It's so fun. You like putting a lot of sensors in or around your apartment. Do you really want, or do you really need, not want, we all want to do it, but do you really need in each and every room, for example, temperature and humidity sensor? I will not talk about pressure, because pressure inside the apartment or house is probably and should be roughly the same. But do we need temperature and humidity sensors in each room? And I know that currently I think I have most of the apartment covered, and I will be putting some more sensors. And I even have 2 sensors, one on the front side and one on the back side. So I can get the difference between the morning sun and the evening sun, temperature on the one side of the building and humidity on one side building and the other. But it's fun. It's really fun to have that. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to show you what this is the most open. This is currently my window number 1, I would say it like that. That's right, Rasby. That's really right. And it does pop up and allow you to expand on everything. I probably some of you have seen my video on the energy challenge. And by the way, I know that this isn't over, meaning that there will be more videos, I hope, from all the creators. I also hope that there will be a lot of other creators that will join the energy challenge. The idea now is to try and fit, components that we have at home. For example, my magic drawer. For example, using like something like this Shelly Wi-Fi relay switch to control the heating, or I wouldn't, Sonoff panel, which I didn't take out of the box, to display some information and change the status or change the display based on some sensor. For example, if it sees that you have just entered the apartment, it could potentially show something. If it detects that not everybody is in the apartment, then it could potentially show something. So the idea really is to to try to expand on this energy challenge thing, and this is also something that I wanted to mention in this video. I will not be able to show you anything. That's right, office data. Sorry, the difference between those two temperatures allowed me to keep my apartment cooler last year without the AC. This year we will definitely installing AC, and I will of course hook it up to Home Assistant, and that will most probably be one of the videos. Hey, if I have to invest in and buy AC, I could do a video on it and tell you what automations I, for example, created, and how you can use that data to further optimize your cooling, but also provide you more. Try to keep apartment not as cool as possible. It's impossible with those prices of electricity now, but try to keep the optimal temperature based on behavior of people in the apartment. Niksha, thank you once again. Thank you. I have one sensor, and I didn't back up many projects on Kickstarter. I think 4 or 5 of them. One was the Metriful board, which I bought the version with the noise level sensor. And the problem is that there was no code from them in the last 12 months. It's open source project, so my lack of programming skills is the only issue I currently have, because I cannot do something that I want to do. And but that board was really great. It allowed me to track, for example, when my kid was playing piano. It would detect any sound or any noise, and it had really nice large noise range. So those things that, for example, aircrafts, if you are living near the airports, you could probably use that sensor and try to match it with this data here. SSD 1306 all display with ESP Home. I have couple of those. I think the only project I used it for, just let me check, is SSD 1306 the one I think it is. Yahoo, how am I on Yahoo now? Yeah, I had 2 color and I had a single color. It was like black and white or something like that. But why is it on the... Okay, something updated. Yeah, of course, I forgot. I just updated before the stream my PC, and Microsoft decided that in Chrome browser I want to use Yahoo as default search engine. Well done, Microsoft, as always. Well done. And I must not talk about Microsoft bad, because once again they will probably call my boss next week, and I will once again have to explain what I meant by that. By the way, data privacy. How I detect persons. Okay, so my person detection is far from perfect, and I think that it's very hard to have holy grail of person detection. I know that Aqara has released now one sensor that can be beneficial, for example, for room presence. So what I have very large coverage area for my Wi-Fi network, which I hate. It's Unify, and I caved in and bought it. The only good thing is that it has really nice range. I live in an apartment building and I live on a 2nd floor, but since those are 2 floors each, it's like 4th floor. And even when I'm in front of the building, I can already pick up the Wi-Fi signal. So when you are approaching it, it should automatically pick you up and register that you're there. Each of my household members, or me, my wife, and my 2 kids, have Home Assistant application on it. So it is able to provide data, and there comes the second problem. The second problem is that my oldest daughter, she wanted iPhone, and of course, what fathers do for the princesses, they give in, and I bought her iPhone. And the problem with the iPhone is that it blocks the access for background location information from the app, and also it closes the app. So whenever I see that her location hasn't changed for some time, for example, it's currently showing that she's in a high school and she's in a next door, and today she didn't even have school, so it was probably stuck from the Friday. I tell her, Luca, turn the Home Assistant app on, and it works for a day or two, or until the battery is depleted and she has to recharge it, then she has to manually start Home Assistant. Samsung keeps change. Okay, yeah, that is funny thing. Apple is calling. Yeah, I don't know. No, I had. Yeah, I know. But Android phones. For Androids, I don't have any issues, so I don't need that. I even tried with the Tile, but we know the problem with the Tile and Life 360. Although they did change in the meantime data privacy, and they did make some kind of pledge that they will not be selling, or they will be reducing type of data they will be sharing with others. I still don't like Tile. It at the end, the problem is for tracking devices. If you use, for example, Bluetooth to track if the Tile has entered the area or not, it works great. Main purpose of Tile should be that it tells you when you've lost your keys, and that's the premium function that you have to pay extra, which you're selling device for that. Why would I have to pay extra? Okay, no, let's not be Paul Hubert about it. But the problem is, if your city or area where you lost your keys doesn't have enough Tiles installed on the mobile phones of other users, and none of those mobile phones that has the app picks up the key, why would you want to use it? So yeah, in regard to swapping MAC addresses, it now Raspberry Pi also has it. It's called security feature, which I hate. I disabled it on my mobile phone. I disabled it on my Raspberry Pi. I don't know if it is possible to disable it on the iPhone. I think I've read somewhere that you can disable that functionality. It should be there to protect your privacy, so that, for example, each time it connects to the Wi-Fi network, there is a different MAC address, so any data harvester on the side of the network wouldn't detect, there's the same phone that there was there. But for my purposes, I would really like to have permanent MAC address, because we all use MAC addresses for one thing or the other. So I'm not really sure if Samsung has that option. Let's check. First of all, how do I? Nah, I'm not going to even bother with it. Samsung fixed MAC address. How to disable randomized MAC address on Android. Haha, ta-da! How to disable settings, Wi-Fi, mesh, connect, blah, blah. So there should be tap MAC address type and choose phone MAC. There it is. I hope that this helps Office data. I know that I did it on my phone. I just forgot how I did it, and of course I'm using still the old Huawei, which still had the Google software on it, so who knows what changed. Yeah, damn it, that's correct. I don't know why I don't know if any of you has installed Raspberry lately, new Raspberry Pi. It has become exotic. I've been trying to get my hands on a Raspberry Pi 02 for one of the projects, and yeah, how it's called, the site for with the tracking information. Raspberry Pi availability tracker. If I could only type. Nope, no. Oh, this one. RPA locator. So, oh my god! In stock. Yeah, right. I'm ordering it from South Africa. It would never arrive here. So in the world, out of, I don't know, 200 shops or 50 shops, I don't know, but a lot of shops have provided data, and some other shops have been harvested without explicit consent. But here you can track all the currently available Raspberry Pis in the world. It's not the world, it's Europe, USA, Japan, Switzerland, ZA, so South Africa. This is the first one I've seen in some time. So that's why probably a lot of you haven't seen that the newer versions of the operating system have default randomized MAC address, which on the other hand made it so that my printer, which was using Clipper, each time when it was rebooting would get a different DHCP address, and yeah, headache and problems. Yeah, it looks like Yahoo is definitely working better than Google Office data. Asked for what? Oh my god, you are lucky one. You are lucky one. Yeah, I will probably be receiving 7-inch from the same company that is selling this Raspad. This is Raspad 2, 3, 4, I don't know what. They will be sending me the 7-inch LCD screen with the acrylic backing that has a standard 40-pin connectors, and I wanted to try not just with the Raspberry Pi 4, which I have in this one, I will pull it out, but also with the Raspberry Pi 02 to see if Raspberry Pi 02 can handle 7-inch touch display, because it would be awesome to have. Then I was also planning to design some kind of a plastic case, so if you have a wall that you can open up and put it inside the wall to have a touch screen, that would be powered by not the full-blown Raspberry Pi, but Raspberry Pi 02, which is much cheaper and can potentially do that, and then have a nice interface for the Home Assistant. But this is just an idea. Yeah. Daniel, that's a magical question. I wanted to try it. I've postponed part of the project. What I did so far is it's open still here. I don't know if I don't have. I've shown this on one of the streams, I think, and on Twitter. This is how it's called, Atom, M5 Atom or something like that, with microphone and speaker, and you can install Raspberry on it, and it can then be used to wake up based on any trigger word you would like. And I of course used Jarvis. So Jarvis is the hot end or a wake up word for this box here. The problem with this box is that speakers are really bad, and the wake up and voice recognition part is working great. You can hook it up with this Raspad. Raspad is, I think, inside. Let's check. I think it's add-on here. Just give me a second. My brain has frozen. Oh, settings, add-ons. Yeah, Raspberry voice assistant. So you can do that. The only issue is that you would need to program each string or each command. So for example, if you want to create command to turn the lights on, then you would have to create all the possible variations of that text. I don't know if I have examples here. I wanted to do video on it, but I was afraid it would be too complex, you know, that I would get lost recording it, and that later on people watching it wouldn't benefit from the video. Where is it? I haven't opened it up for a long time. So for example, get time, you can tell either what time is it or tell me the time, or for example you can add sentence time what now is, for example, and those three words or sentences after the wake up word would then initiate command called get time. And then what you would do is in Home Assistant you would then use this get time as a trigger there. So this system tells Home Assistant intents that it has to search for get time, and it will create answer for you. So these are the possibilities. Get temperature is what's the temperature, or how hot or cold is it. So any of those combinations would work. So that's possibility. No, you would create in plain language. There is, for example, options. Is the garage door open, closed, would then trigger call to Home Assistant that would check the sensor there, but you also have to create on a Home Assistant side part of the intents for it. Is the same intents that I used in my Talk to Home Assistant video, where I show you how you can use the very primitive, you know, click the button or type in the text. The same intents then can be used for this here. So lights, you just give the name of the lights. State is what state it can be, on, off, or dimmed, I don't know what. Light color, you can specify the color names, so etc. So there are a lot of possibilities, but it's not that easy, you know. You cannot just create a 10-minute or 15-minute video that would cover installation of this, because it does require installation. This doesn't come out of box with support for anything, so you have to program something on it. Installation of this part here has a ton of options that I'm just not sure I could put in a video and give it any meaning. Oh, Nordic distributor, but I will, Temet, thank you. I will check it. Because yeah, I definitely have to find something. Oh, by the way, let's jump on something else, because today my brain is all over the place. As I said, I want to do a list of videos, and Johnny is as I mentioned, Johnny has said that he wants to see one specific video. For that, I have to go to my main setup. Give me a second. So this is my main setup. On Mark Watt stream, somebody mentioned I didn't receive notification for beginning of the stream, and we started, you know, typing in the chat, well, create a sensor for it. So there is a YouTube integration for Home Assistant, but unofficial, or integration that is part of the HACS. I use it. I never created anything meaningful. It can be some kind of reminder. What was my last video, for example? It now is showing this stream information, and if I press on it, it tells you that it has been pushed today at 7:26:30, which is when I created stream in the YouTube studio and press release or make it public. So this is the new video. It unfortunately doesn't make difference between the stream and the video here, but if we go to attributes, you have the URL, which then you can use to automatically, for example, push whatever video or video from whatever creator you want to whatever Chromecast device. I have here this play latest from BeardedTinker. If I would press on this one, it would pull the URL here and play it on my Google Display, or how it's called now, Google Nest device. So that's great. Mikhail, thank you very much. Thank you. So about that, I will be creating video, and there is always I talk a lot. As you can see, if I wouldn't talk a lot, I wouldn't be streaming. But I talk a lot, and the problem for me is I sometimes feel that I said too much, and then I cut some corners because I didn't want the video to be too long. But for this one, I will definitely be creating interesting things, hopefully for you. So this should be the video for the next week. There are a couple of things here. For example, this one, it knows that this is live event, meaning stream. So we have information live stream saying that it's true. But the problem here is you see that it still says that it's false, meaning that it didn't detect the change when I pressed start stream. On the other hand, we have information here, stream is also, we have information here when the stream should start. So there is a workaround. If your sensor doesn't update in time, you could probably use this stream start to start the stream playback anyway, even if the stream itself maybe hasn't started because the creator has canceled the stream or something like that. So it's not perfect, it doesn't give you real-time information, but for example, if I would now push normal video, it would be stream is false, live is false, and it would give you information about that video. By the way, I just noticed only 2 stars. Come on. So this will be obfuscated. This will be in my future video. This will be my next video. I still haven't recorded. This is part of my main setup. As I said, I don't use it anything. I use it just to test to see if I could. Yes. The problem with me is I don't use Node-RED. I really do not use, and just bear with me, let me try to explain you that. When I started working with Home Assistant, some things there was no way for you to do in Home Assistant. But also I started with the Home Assistant Docker, and Docker is great way not just to start but run your Home Assistant, but I felt limited, and that's why I installed Node-RED and said, listen, for Home Assistant I have to learn the logic, how it works, how automations works. The UI at the time was not as good as it is today, and on the other hand I also have to learn the Node-RED. So I decided, let me try to do everything I want to do in Node-RED in Home Assistant. So that's why I may do some over complex things in Home Assistant, but I try to show you or show people that there are a lot of things that can be done directly in Home Assistant without the need of Node-RED. And I'm not doing it because the IBM was owner of Node-RED and of my history with IBM, but I really wanted to see how much you can push Home Assistant to do stuff that you need to go normally outside of that ecosystem. Same thing is, for example, with Tasmota. Yeah, I hope. For example, thank you, Rasby. For example, I feel that ESP Home is much more part of the Home Assistant than Tasmota is in terms of how it integrates and how it feels in the ecosystem. So that's why I would always go more towards ESP Home than towards the Tasmota. So that's why I had 2-3, how it's called, it's not called scripts in Node-RED, it's called, it's not flows, whatever it is called in Node-RED. I had a couple of them, especially for my Synology integration when I had to get triggers from Synology into Home Assistant, and Home Assistant wasn't allowing pulls, it only allowed get requests, or was it vice versa? I forgot about it. Yeah, I know, John. He's. Do you know how I ended up on Matt's stream 20 minutes late, and only because I've seen his tweet saying I'm live come join or something like that. So yeah, he doesn't post anything. We really have to have chat with him. Yeah, we really have to have chat with him. Oh, Mitch, that's the second thing. By the way, has anybody been using Dwayne's dashboard? This is maybe video I could do. I'm not using. My dashboards are really bad. And I talked about it somewhere with somebody. I don't know. I talk a lot. Oh yeah, when YouTube creators. Yeah, we had first meeting before, one day after beta was released for the previous release, and we finished talking about what's new, what will be new in the version 2025.5, and we started chatting about what's everybody doing, what are the plans, and somebody was commenting about Luis's video on the dashboards, and I said something that it's like saying Earth is flat or Earth is round in the wrong group of people. I said I don't care about the UI, and it was like whoa, and I tried to explain why. I have UI. In my family, nobody uses UI. They use voice for commands. 99.9% of the time, it's voice, and the rest is buttons. Either Zigbee buttons or permanent switches that have been hooked up via Zigbee or whatever. So they use either fingers or voice. I don't know if, except my oldest daughter, when I force her to do, anybody has ever turned the application on in any device. And the only person that is looking at the UI is me, and I like looking at numbers. For example, I look here what's the internet speed, or I go here and look what's with the flowers. But these are still the same information that if I need to do something gets pushed to my mobile phone. So in Telegram or in the notification area of my mobile phone, I receive, for example, water this plant or whatever. So that's why I've never worked on the UI. I like Dwayne's dashboard because for the person that doesn't work on the UI, it gives me good enough experience. So it's definitely not something that Luis showed with the both initial version and then the latest version of his video on the dashboards. But for me, this was enough. For example, no, let's look at Zeta Room. I get all the devices here. Everything is green, what needs to be green. It does have some data that I wouldn't want to see here, but I haven't even played to tweak it out. Or for example, devices, weather. Here is the information about the weather. No. Climate. That's it. That's why I simply I like to see what people have done. I wanted to create a floor map of my apartment. I started working and I said I would look at it for one day, nobody would use it, and yeah, I don't care. What did I miss? What did I miss? Just a second. Okay. I heard my wife is trying to keep her voice low, and she's also trying to control the lights, and it wasn't going in the right direction. Bolje. Okay, so yeah, Jeff, Nabukasa owns ESP. It is, but I was preferring ESP Home even before it was part of Nabukasa team. There were even some times when I thought that Nabukasa Home devs didn't like what ESP Home was doing, but yeah, it ended up working really nicely. I have issue with my subnets in my router and they cannot be. Okay, so we all learn something new each day. So when I was starting with Home Assistant, you know, I started with Home Assistant. I had 3 light bulbs from IKEA, 1 ESP device that I put WLED later on it, and that's it. And I created normal subnet for home, which is 255 addresses, and whenever I create home networks, I create it like this, you know. First 10 IP addresses are the network equipment, because usually I don't need more than 10 devices for routers, switches, access points, etc. Then next 40 addresses are for some fixed things. Then I have range between 90 and 100, that is for the cameras. I don't have 10 cameras, but I usually leave that range. And I said, okay, these 10 addresses here will be for WLED, for LEDs. These 10 addresses will be for Shellys, and these 10 addresses will be for ESP Home. And each device got assigned permanent fixed IP address. And that was my way of, hey, Mark. Oh my God, Johnny, we have to be careful now. So each of those devices had a fixed address, so I never used local domain name resolution. Internally, I didn't even bother to give any device a name. I would constantly ping the IP address of that device. But, of course, I now have more than 10 shell devices. I have more than 10 ESP devices, and I started moving. And I also expanded my subnet, because 255 devices didn't seem enough. No, I still have a lot of room, but with all the other devices that joined the network, and at that time I also had guest Wi-Fi or phones or tablets or laptops join my primary network, so I had to expand and move everything. I now started doing DHCP thing, assigning names and trying to locate names. But yeah, subnets have issues with MDNS. Subnets have issues with how Home Assistant does discover devices. So that's one of the issues. I keep IoT devices on a separate Wi-Fi, but on a same subnet. I don't do VLANs, although I should probably do VLANs, but yeah, so that's it. Plant watering system, the physical part. Okay, by the way, that Johnny was mentioning, let me just kill this screen. I will probably show you something that I'll be regretting later on when somebody finds it. Just give me a second. So before the stream started, we were chatting. Oh, Mark, this was no, this was bad. So Johnny said that he has Mi Flora sensors. I had only one for test. It was my father's. I returned it to him, so I don't have it anymore. I have my Hygro boards. I think one of the next projects I will be doing, hopefully in June. For May, I already have one DIY Zigbee project that I want to release video on it, and it's this one. Now it's intercom, Zigbee DIY Zigbee intercom. So I will be probably working on this one. It's the plant sensor. This one is using smaller chip, which I will not be using. I will be using the one that is using chips like this one, which you can solder. Actually, this one I wouldn't be able to solder by hand. So I will be adding those Zigbee DIY sensors to the plants that already do not have Hygro board. I really do like the Hygro boards, but I'm always trying to find something that would be, I will now use wrong word, probably cheaper, but cheaper in terms of long-term performance. For example, Hygro boards worked great and Pezzer did wonderful thing with the firmware, but one thing that was always bothering me was how to easily show users that do not have experience with Arduinos, with Platform IO, with MQTT on adding it to Home Assistant. And Zigbee should be much easier to add devices if that device, of course, is supported. And these boards here are supported inside the Zigbee to MQTT. So that's why I will be creating a new video with these boards here. They give you information about the temperature, which is okay. You can use external sensor on board is not that precise, but more or less for the plants, if you don't go for the temperature of the soil, by the way, with this sensor board, you could do that instead of this sensor here. We just use the DS18 B50 or whatever it's called and just put it in the ground. So it will give you information about the soil humidity, temperature, and you can, I think, even add, yeah, this one here is for the BME 280, so you can have pressure and air humidity. And great thing about this one, that the firmware for this board is tied in directly to the firmware of the DIY Zigbee watering station that I have, and that is something that I'm using. As I was saying, plant sensors. This is not that big. This is not that big. This should be okay. And by the way, if you see, you can cut it out and you can have it as something else. You can use just this board as air temperature sensor. So this is great. So yeah, this is one of the future projects I will be doing. I was thinking a lot on would I do this project because it originally came from Russia, but then I decided that okay, the project itself did come from Russia, but it's also published on a GitHub. It's still available. There is no financial gain from anybody from that project because you would have to source your own parts. So I decided to go with that. And as I said, I have already this board working here at my desk for some time. I will also be recording video about this door intercom, which is copy of the Nookie intercom, which is part of the Nookie system and which is part of this stupid Nookie Lock. And if you follow me on Fitter, by the way, if you don't know, we now have a service called Fitter. Let me check. My Flora is much small. Yeah, it is. iRobot, nice. Okay, to get the devices between subnets and LANs, you need to enable IGMP snooping. Yep. All my plants are fake, which is good. Half of the plants in my kids' room are fake plants. It's even IKEA calls it something like, let's go to IKEA website. Dream of every home. Now we'll not be going to creation website because if we go there, probably nobody will understand what I'm reading. So we will go to ikea.co.uk if that's the site. Yep, it is. Let's go to Faker. Artificial. So all the artificial plants are fake. So Jeff, any plants is really a fake if you go to IKEA. My kids have most of the plants in their rooms are fake because even they die. Yeah. To move away from Wi-Fi as much as possible except for WLED and ESP Home Rest is Zigbee or Z-Wave to keep things clean. Yeah. I don't have a single Z-Wave device in my apartment, and by the way, I think that I said okay to somebody, and somebody will be sending me my English today, sending me again. Sorry, fake ones. Okay, somebody sending me some Zigbee relay, Zigbee switch. No neutral, something that has both Zigbee, Z-Wave and HomeKit, which is Wi-Fi. I said to them, don't send me Z-Wave because I don't have even a controller for the Z-Wave. On the other hand, I will probably not even be opening the HomeKit or Wi-Fi version, so I will be giving that away. So probably in the video where I do review of that Zigbee device, I will be making a giveaway for that Wi-Fi version of the no neutral whatever device. Yep. Plan puts module A in module C. Where is the module B? No module B. No module B. We are missing something. No Earth. With the Zigbee sensor, I still have. So I have two plants that are about 2.5 meters above the ground, and the problem is watering them throughout the year, not just the summer when we, for example, go for a vacation, but you have to climb wall mountain stairs with the water, and it's not handy, and those plants usually die or don't look well. So that's why I did that project. I didn't create the project. That's why I did that project of water station, and it really is working great. Let's go back to my main setup. Let's just make sure I don't press once again the wrong button. Display capture, this one. So these two plants are the ones above, and I have here water station pump 2 and water station pump 1, and this plant needs some water, and I click it and it started to pump the water. The advantage of the Zigbee version of the sensor, and this one is hydro board, the advantage of the Zigbee sensor is that you can pre-program the sensor for the plant, what is the minimum water percentage or humidity level of the earth or ground, so that when it detects or when it falls, it automatically starts this pump. You see the benefit here. I could do that by creating automation that, for example, would say if the humidity falls below, it's currently 16%, and the earth in that or soil in that pot is a bit different, so that's one of the issues. I could create a sensor in Home Assistant, say that, for example, when it falls below 20%, start this pump for 5 minutes. With the Zigbee one, it does all the calculations and it calls the watering station and requests water. Water starts the pump. Watering station starts the pump. It provides water to the soil. Sensor registers that water level is rising, and then it stops the pump. So it's much more easier. And this one doesn't use any automation. It's pre-built in the firmware between the watering station DIY project and this previous sensor I showed you, the Russian one. But we don't say Russian one. No. Oh, by the way, I will be posting a link. I don't know if I've shown you something. Give me a second. Just give me a second, please. Yeah. No, I'm not muted anymore. I'm just face palming. Face palming. Allow me a second to double face palm myself. And I'm double face palming myself. So, as I say, the guys from the Ukraine office, when everything started, they moved here with the families. So they are in the same office currently with me. Girls from the office, guys stayed in Ukraine, of course, to fight. And there are a couple of them spread around Europe who are friends and who created the brand using that famous slogan saying "Русский военный корабль пошел нахуй." I can say that because it's a curse, but it's in Russian, probably nobody understands it. Russian military ship go to hell, or it's even worse than that, but let's keep the translation there. So I will be posting a link. They are selling those t-shirts all around the EU. They have EU web shop, but I think they have only Instagram, not Twitter. I will later on post links on my Twitter, Discords, in the description of this video or in the comment section when it gets released. So there will be a link to them. There are a lot of t-shirts and you know, money should go. I know that they are buying, for example, here from Croatia. Whoa, Johnny, not only more than a year, almost 2 years. Mark, have fun. We will have a chat. And I hope that you did manage to find the smart lawnmower. I really would like to have house so I can have lawnmower. Yeah. So, okay, that's it. I just wanted to mention you that. Let me just jump here. Let me kill this one. Okay, and switch. Resby, tell me now that Matt has gone. Tell me, I'm better than him. Yeah, right. Bye, Mark. I really like it. I was thinking about. I don't know if anybody would watch that video, but I was really thinking of creating a video on who I follow from the tech world, why I follow them, and you know, things like that. I do follow a lot of people. I don't know if anybody would even mind seeing that. Yeah. The problem with the beard is that once you get the beard, you have to change the ID. So even if I would shave now, which my family members wouldn't appreciate, I would have to get my new ID and new passport and every document. So I have to change every, you know, if you have like unshaved beard like 2 days old, no, you don't have. But if you have beard, you have to change all the documents. Yeah. And I was having a problem because I did let my beard grow. I had ID card without beard, and I needed to replace my passport. And when I went to replace my passport, they said, no, we cannot give you passport until you replace the ID with your new face. So no way, even if I wanted to, no way I would be going through that. Yeah, bald face tinker, and it would be like, no. By the way, I should stop. I should really stop the pump. I forgot about that one. You see, when you don't make automations. So I want to thank my wife. We've been together this year and married to this year. Yeah, it will be 20 years this year in September. And we have 2 wedding anniversaries. One of our wedding anniversaries is today. And, you know, being with me for 20 years is, if you would be in the military, it would be counting like 30 or 40 years. So, yeah. So, thank you, Mirta, for having me. Thank you, Mirta, for having me for so long. Okay. Let's go back to some other thing. I brought a couple of things here on the desk because I wanted to show you some of the things that we were doing last time. So first of all, if you follow me on Twitter, if you've seen a couple of my videos, you've seen that I've mentioned and recorded videos about the Nookie Lock, and I still think that this is great lock. I love it. I wish it would use. I know why it's not using Zigbee, why it's using proprietary Bluetooth, because they're using additional encryption and things like that. So okay, you cannot have everything the way you want to have it. And they have two ways of installing this Nookie Lock on the door. When I replaced my door, I bought Nookie. And this is the second time it failed. First time it failed last summer when my wife, when we as a family were on the vacation on island of Vis, which is, I think there are only one or two islands that are most further away from where I live than those two. So we were really far off. And we forgot something in the apartment, and I sent my father, and okay, Dad, I know that you don't have a key, but here is the code, just in the app, press the button, it will unlock. And it didn't unlock. Actually, it did unlock, but it didn't, because this got unglued or unstuck out of the door. Then I printed new mount that has this shape that is now on the door, and this gets glued on the door. And the glue, as you can see, I didn't even hit it that hard. It really is holding without pressure. But once again, it's bottom heavy, and it starts to unglue itself on top. As you can see, there is no more glue on this upper part and this part here, and there is a hexagon shaped insert here that goes inside this hole. And what it ended up, because it moved partially from the door, it's stuck in such a way that even with the key I couldn't turn it because it was under the pressure there. So I've removed it. I will replace it. I will use some other glue for it. And as you can see, this one is really still holding very well, but this upper part is the problem. So I have to probably custom design something once again on 3D printer and print it, which really is a shame. And to be honest, it's not just Nookie problem. It's not just me, honey, it's you. So there are two types of this faceplate, A and B version, and yeah, Shelly screwdriver. I have a ton of them. I like it. I never have enough screwdrivers, and this one I like because it's blue and I can see it. So I have this faceplate type B, which unfortunately has to be glued to the door. Faceplate A has 3 screws here that are screwed in the lock, and the lock itself is keeping everything from falling down. Zigbee Smart Electronic Biometric Door Lock. Do they have it, Zigbee Smart? They're a strange company. So we as a content creators do get approached by a lot of companies. I try to be selective on who I work with there. I would say that there are 70% of the time I say no, and 30% of the time I say yes. Although out of that 30% of the time, I unfortunately record just few videos out of all the stuff that arrives. I simply do not have time. I don't want to be a review channel in terms of hardware, although it would be great if I would have, for example, 200,000 subscribers on this channel. Then I create a second channel where I, for example, do just reviews of the hardware. This has been sitting on my desk for, why don't I put it here? This has been sitting on my desk for 3 weeks, and I simply, I want to create videos on how to integrate something, how to improve the Home Assistant, how to whatever. And then, let me talk about another valve. People are okay, this is your 4th valve so far. There is nothing sexy about it. There is, okay, this one has battery inside and maybe has stronger motor or some other nice feature that the other one doesn't have, but it's not something that I would, change everything. And most of them were great. I like Shelly. I really do like Shelly. I think that Shelly, most of the products, if I recommend my colleagues at work anything, I recommend Shelly. I try not to recommend too much stuff because something can happen and then you are I have to debug something and I don't want to do that. But if I have to recommend, I always recommend Shelly and Tado. I know that I'm biased towards Tado, and Tado, you guys will hear from me on something. I'm not happy with something. Okay, so what I was saying, that ZemiSmart contacted me about 3 months ago and said, hey, are you interested in smart blinds? And I said, if they are, how it's called, roller blinds, Zigbee, battery powered, yes. Anything else in terms of blinds, please know I don't have curtains, I don't have any other type of blinds, and I don't want to do video on something that I don't use, because later on people will ask me something and I will not know the answer. So I really try to have everything that I've recorded video on at my setup, at least one of something. And they said, great. And that's it. I said, okay. So if they have ZemiSmart Zigbee Smart Electronic Biometric Door Lock, I would like to see it. I would like really to see. Yeah, I know. But it's same like SwitchBot. That's why probably they didn't even contact me later on. They released their smart curtains, with solar panels, and you can do it like this or like that. They released, and then in the next 30 days, there were like 40 videos from all content creators around the world in all the languages, but mostly English, about those SwitchBot curtains. And they approached me and said, I don't have curtains. So, yeah. The only thing I really care is, and I would really like to see, is nice, if it's even possible, to choose the length, either by cutting it, or there are a lot of different lengths to choose, roller blinds. Because they can disappear. I have a lot of glass here. It's like all the glass, and I don't want to have anything in front of me obscuring the wonderful view we have here. Yeah, that really is Raspberry. The problem is one thing is, for example, the one mistake I made. It's not a mistake I made, but it ended up being a mistake. I got the MOES smart valve as smart thermostatic radiator valve, smart TRV. So I already have in my apartment all the smart thermostatic valves I plan to have, and they sent to me and said, oh great, I'm currently using proprietary Tado, I really would like to test the Zigbee ones. And they worked, and they were really okay. It didn't fit my purpose and my setup the way I would like them to fit, but I could imagine that, for example, if you use Shelly or whatever device to control the heater, to send the impulse turn on, turn off on one side, and then have smart thermostatic valves telling Home Assistant, oh listen, I need to heat up this room, tell boiler to produce some heat. It's really nice system. And then people started asking questions. Oh listen, I bought 5 yesterday, one of them doesn't want to do something, or when I edited it didn't show what it had to do. And what I did, I gave away that single one I had. I gave away. I'm not sad that I gave it away. I really was sad because I didn't have that one to test if I can see it help those people with that issue. And on the other hand, everybody was rightfully asking me because I created video on it and I showed something about it. Oh, sorry, I have 4 ZemiSmart curtain operating with Wi-Fi, converted from Tuya to Tasmota, but roller cheap as a able to convert to open. The problem is that, you know, so far I still haven't created any video, and I really hope that I wouldn't need to create a video where I do any editing magic to make something works. But I think that sometimes some of the videos from some of the people, not the ones that usually pop up in the either chat here or me in their chats, but there have been when you see that it didn't work and it was presented as working, sort of like false advertising. So I don't know. The promise of compatibility between the hardware manufacturers was talked about 2 years ago, when the Matter and Thread, or how it was even called before the Matter, Chirp, something, CHIRP or something, whatever. I really hope so, but I don't put too much hope into that. I have Amazon devices here, I have Google devices around me. It would really be great for them to finally remember that we are paying customers and that we want compatibility. Same as we want right to fix something, we also want to have local controls. Yeah, that's why I would prefer to have them at Zigbee. You know, Zigbee doesn't require flashing. If you can get Zigbee device to pair at least initial information in, for example, Zigbee to MQTT, then you can create custom converter and have support for that device, or even partial support for device. And also you can ask for help on the GitHub open issue for the new sensor. Give them information that you collected, and then they can guide you on creating support for new Zigbee device. So, Mikael, I'm unfortunately not sure. I really would like. I'm approaching half of the century of living on this planet alone here. So yeah, I did live on other planets before. And I have less and less trust in those advertising materials, because at the end they are just advertising materials trying to create hype out of something that is still not here. Everybody's talking about it, and it's like, no. Post new video about, no, I haven't. If it's from today, yeah, some of you that follow me on Twitter probably know that I had to go to Slovenia and back, and I got home just like 40 minutes before the stream started, and I didn't do anything here. Oh yeah, Temem, definitely. I remember I posted the same thing yesterday, yeah. Yesterday on Twitter. Same thing about that. What they were saying, that they have joined something about something, Matter or Thread or support for in Google. And I asked, oh, what about the new local API, local only API control for Home Assistant? And that's it. Peer-to-peer protocol, if I understood it right, it's a Bluetooth based. I have a lot of Bluetooth devices. I don't know why I try to avoid them as much as possible, and it's not 100% possible. So before I say anything else, I have my old Geiger-Miller counter there that is ESP32 based, so it's ESP32 board reading the counter values from the kit, Geiger-Miller kit. And since that one has a Bluetooth ESP32, I also use it to read value from my Xiaomi Smart Mi Scale body fat 3.0 running whatever, and also from the Xiaomi Mosquito smart mosquito repellents. So I do have some of the Bluetooth devices, but I really try to avoid Bluetooth as much as I can in my home assistant setup. So that's why, for example, I never went for Mi Flora, because I also read that the people had some issues with Bluetooth in it. I'm glad that Johnny has it working correctly. That's correct, yeah. Bluetooth could be potentially Bluetooth could have been potentially better protocol than Zigbee one, because it's very similar. I'm trying to not get, to not get hate mail of saying it. Bluetooth is very similar to Zigbee. Zigbee is very similar to Wi-Fi, but neither is Zigbee Wi-Fi or is Bluetooth Zigbee. In my opinion, one of the biggest problems with the Zigbee that it is using the same frequency as the Wi-Fi. So there are a lot of issues. There can potentially be a lot of issues. You have to be careful what you say. There can potentially be issues with Wi-Fi and Zigbee, which Bluetooth doesn't suffer from. So, it's like they always do something 90% out of 100. That just 10% that could have been better would make everything much simpler. I have a problem. I don't have enough sockets. When we were remodeling this apartment, I've put sockets all around the apartment, and it's now like wires everywhere. All of them are some projects. Here on the desk, I have hub with 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 devices connected, and I have around the desk at least 10 devices that are not connected, that I used for some project that, for example, if I want to go back to, I can reconnect. I don't have that much sockets for the ESP boards. I love them. They are cheap. Okay, let's back to this one. I will not be talking. We were on the last stream, we were building this. I know this is something that most of you guys here probably are not interested in, but I will just mention it. So on last stream, we started building. Yeah, even with the multi-gang extensions with multi-ports, I still do not have enough. I've started buying for the ESP project. I started buying those USB chargers that have 5 USB sockets, so I can in one charger connect 5 devices. I still don't have enough either USB cables or sockets. No, I will not be making spoiler here. So this is something that we started on the last stream. It was 2 weeks ago. I finished it. It is finished up to the calibration point. I didn't even hook it up to. It has some. Bear with me. It has some connection with the Home Assistant somehow. This is multi-material unit for 3D printer. So what it does is you have here 6 slots. There goes PTFE tube goes into each one of them. Each one of them can be a different color. Then you have this thing moving and selecting colors. Pick black, red, yellow, green, go back, forth, and it allows you to do multicolor prints. So, okay. And it runs out of this board here. So we have 2 stepper motor controllers. And this one is similar to ESP Home. It's Xiao, how it's called, Siduino or something like that. Xiao whatever board. So it's very similar to ESP. It provides via the USB connection, logic and control for this board, and it runs some custom firmware. And I had problems. You see these 3 unprotected wires with servo. There is a servo also here. This one here that moves the little notch on this and puts pressure here, and when it puts pressures on it, it engages the gear. So this needs to have pressure on it when there is filament and no pressure when there is no filament. And it didn't work. It didn't work. So I bought a new servo because I thought that this servo died, and once again didn't work. I checked with multimeter, power, everything was working. I was using even oscilloscope to test the signal wire, and this is the second time in my life that I used my, oh my god, I spent $25 on AliExpress on oscilloscope kit, oscilloscope. But still, I used oscilloscope, and no, there was a problem with the signal. Voltage was correct, but the signal doesn't work. So what I did, I ordered new electronics board. But before I did that, I was testing. The stepper driver, and what I did, I hooked up the stepper driver motor to the ESP8266 board. You just need 3 wires. 2 wires are 5 volts, I think, yeah, 5 volts ground, and I think on D0 you connect the signal wire, you put ESP home code on it, so no code, low code, just a couple of lines in the ESP home. When you declare that on this pin you have stepper motor, sorry, not stepper, servo motor. These here are stepper motors, this here is servo motor, and then you can control the servo for Home Assistant, and I had so much fun. It's really like just 3 wires, and let's go back and check it, how many lines of code. It was really fun. It was really fun. Servo. So, Servo Api Service. Okay. Output platform ESP8266 PWM. Okay, ID is here. Pin D1, frequency 50 Hertz. PWM output is where? A servo rotate. Output is PWM output. So it's using this one here. And then we have here API service, control servo, variables float, servo write, and what it does, it in Home Assistant creates, you can create a slider, you move it left to right, and it will move servo arm up to down, up or down. So you can create your own switchboard. You really can create with ESP board, ESP8266, and the servo, you can create your robot that, you know, pushes a button, pulls something, whatever. It was fascinating. I had a problem, and my problem was how to test if servo was working or not. And all I needed was these. Okay, not these are not, because these are standard. These 14 lines of code to get servo control, so mechanical movement inside Home Assist. And you can use it later on for everything. You can, for example, create something that would be using, you know, this arm here and this servo here to move the static camera left, right, left, right. You don't have to buy pen tilt camera. You can, for example, you know, attach this to here. It would just like pull it and push it and rotate the camera. It's fascinating how easy it is to do stuff that maybe you don't even understand in the background how they operate or work, but you can simply do it with no code or low code or whatever, if you know what I mean. So that's something that I wanted to mention. And by the way, I did order a new board, and it's also great. I want to share with you a link. I don't get paid for that, but you know, I like sharing fun stuff, cool projects, and you have to buy a board. And then I was like, okay, so there are two options. Either I have to order PCB, all the components, everything out of China, then wait for 3 weeks, or I have to buy board that costs $20 and have to pay $60 on shipping, customs, and everything. It was like, it's simply not worth it. I would rather wait 2 months and solder all the components myself. But then it means that for 2 months I cannot even test this system. So I managed to find this, and I will be sharing the link. I know that 99% of you will not be using it or not be needing it. But this is a guy who had spare time during the pandemic in Portugal and created a site, and he's now selling various bits and bobs that he either outsources from somewhere or builds himself. So parts for the printer, for example, this one here, I needed this here. And you will notice one thing, that's a funny thing. It now has 3 options, no, more options. Easy board only, electronics kit with the toolhead, etc. So what's the difference? Since I have everything, I didn't need the stepper drivers, I didn't need a whole bunch of stuff, and I would have to pay 20 euros more, which on the other hand, okay, I could have spare stepper drivers. And I talked to him and I said, listen, but I just need the board. Can you sell me? Put any price on it. I just want board. I have too many stuff lying around to have too many spares. And in a matter of minutes, he created a new option, and I was able to buy it from him, which is really, having local shops, maybe to your area. Unfortunately, to me, it's not local because it's in Portugal, so I will have to wait for the item to arrive another 10 days or something, not 10 days, a week, I guess. But still, to be able to, for example, this, when I was building my printer, I couldn't find any lubricants for the rails, and what I had to do, I had to buy 2 cans that are really cans like this, and I will probably use 2 to 5% of that content and have to throw everything away because it would be open for too long. It would expire before I use it. And he's selling the syringe with enough of everything you need to lubricate the printer 2 times. I really like when shops find this small niche. Okay, back to anybody still here? Is there a way to create custom default template? What to use for a new device? In terms of you want to create something inside ESP Home that you can just copy from ESP Home to board, from ESP board to other ESP board, or did I not understand this correctly? I'm lazy. For example, most of my automations that I do, I usually go to my existing automations, copy something that I have, that I think should be a good starting point, and then work from there. Same thing is sorry. Same thing is for the ESP Home. In ESP Home, what I do is I go to my existing ESP Home file, copy start of the file or whatever, create new file, just paste it there. I rarely use that, add new board, because it overcomplicates and it does to me stuff that I've not used for a long time, so it's easier for me just to create a new YAML file directly. Microwave presence detection. I don't know. Are you talking about the Akara ones or the others that have been popping up either as teasers, possible Kickstarter projects? I've seen a couple of them. I don't have anything against them at this point, because to be honest, I still didn't even spend that much time looking into them. I wouldn't have any problem testing them, but I don't know if I would be installing them at this point until I know a little bit more about what they do. I've come to it took me a while to understand what microwave as a device does, not in terms of heating the water, moving the molecules and things like that. In our old apartment, which was a long one, meaning that it was not that wide, but it had a length. My router was in the middle of the apartment and my microwave was in the kitchen and near the door. And I usually worked from the kitchen. You had a big desk there, I would put laptop there and work there on the PC. Whenever the microwave oven was running, I had problem with the Wi-Fi signal, which is something that good protected microwave shouldn't do, but it really is interfering a lot, and those are magnetic waves. So the question is it good? Does it have any impact on quality of life, on health? Would microwave devices, I'm not talking about it would boil my brain, microwave as such, but I'm not sure how this influences our life. I'm not really sure. I'm not skeptic. I really have nothing against technologies. We've been using microwave here we have microwave since day one. We met and my parents had them and we use them all the time. And now I know since my mother was a doctor and she worked in a hospital, they did even testing for joke, for laughs, to see what is the maximum radiation outside the microwave oven. Radiation is a strong word, but this is radiation. It's electromagnetic radiation. Everything has radiation itself. So yeah, I know that it's not dangerous in terms of, I don't know, I guess, and I presume it's not dangerous in terms of your Wi-Fi shouldn't be dangerous. But I'm not sure what it would have if microwave has effects on my Wi-Fi network. Does this mean that sensors that have microwave itself have impact on Wi-Fi networks? Do Wi-Fi networks that operate at same frequencies, 5 gigahertz, have influence or impact on them? So there are still a lot of things that I would like to know more. But on the other hand, I also don't need that precise presence detection inside the apartment that normal motion sensor cannot do. Yeah, so let me. Aqara looks like finished. Yeah, Aqara is finished product. I think you can buy it, but the price was I've seen two prices. I think I've seen price of $30 on the AliExpress site, and I think that Luis posted the price of $60. I wouldn't pay $60 for motion sensor. It may have even a flashing light that says hello. I still wouldn't pay $60 for that type of the sensor. It's just too much and I don't gain anything extra from it. Okay, precision, yes, but not something extra. Seed Studio, yeah. Teme. For that, you have to go. I cannot open it because if I open, everything will pop up. In the ESP home, let's just go here. In the ESP home. Okay, it's not running on this system. Let me just look at here. In ESP home, you have secrets file. In the secrets file, you can declare values that are your standard Wi-Fi, SSID, You can declare other values that you want to keep, and then you just simply insert code like here. For example, I have secret Wi-Fi SSID, secret Wi-Fi password. You can use for the auto password I usually had before. I'm not using auto password anymore. This one was auto created. So you can, for example, change the password here. You can, those values you can keep in the secrets file, and then you can just reuse parts of the code. In other, for example, in this plant, everything here, I think everything here I can just copy and it would work for any board. So this is the Wi-Fi password. Okay, I'm using here the value here. So static IP, this everything can be predefined either in a secrets file or you can reuse that part of the code. Microwave radar detect. I tested some, didn't work as my neighbors were detected. Nice. You can sell that data to somebody. You know, selling data is good these days. Isn't there different frequency band? Okay, it operates at 25 gigahertz. Oh, so sorry, misunderstood you. I thought that you were talking about the Seed Studio board or Seeduino, how it's called, this one here. You were talking about something else. Okay, sorry. Yeah, my bad. My bad. DIY. You can keep in the lights. I don't do that. I don't have any. That's the problem, you know. It all depends on what you. It all depends on how you automate your stuff, automate your boring stuff. How Jeff would say. Hi Jeff, if we ever see this, I really enjoy your content, by the way. And so I have only one light that is triggered. No, sorry, two lights that are triggered by the motion. And yes, you are right. If I stand, sorry, you're right. If I stand in the kitchen on a single place without moving, by the way, anybody hears the noise from the street? If you stand on the same place for longer than 5 minutes, but usually don't stand perfectly still, it would register as nobody there, and it would turn the lights off, but immediately second later it would turn them on. So yeah, that can happen. But in 2 years of having those lights in a kitchen, there's a different space. Kitchen and living room is completely different. In kitchen, I only had maybe twice or 3 times this happened. So in 2 years, 3 times, it's a margin of error. I don't have anything similar in the living room. For the living room, again, I have motion sensor, and that motion sensor controls lights only after midnight when all other lights are off, meaning that if it detects motion either from somebody going down the stairs or somebody going up the stairs, it would trigger the light. So I don't have that problem that you mentioned. I don't control lights in the room in that way. If I would have that, then I would really need to look more into detail into presence detection to be 100% sure, like those toilets in the office buildings where you have to like dance on the toilet if you want to keep the light on, like we have in our building. Not that saying that our building is bad, but yeah. Yeah, kitchen and passageways are different. Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm saying. So we don't. When I was considering on cases that would be implemented in those routines or those scripts or automations, I tried to find something that can fail as least amount of times as possible. So those 2 cases for me were perfect. In the living room, I have very strict automations. evening, 30 minutes after sun sets, which means that still there is a light, but not that much light, it automatically turns the lights on in the living room. At 11:30 each and every night, if we are at home, 11:30, it dims lights in the living room to 25% or something like that, and turns all the other floors on the lower floor. And in the midnight, it automatically cuts all the lights in whole apartment. And that's why I don't need anything that would be reacting to the motion. And also one thing is the geometry of the apartment. I have my lower floor, the first floor where the kitchen, dining room, living room, entrance is, it's open space. So everything is one room. If I have lights in kitchen, you have lights in living room. If you have lights in living room, you have light in kitchen, because it's just one single space. So for that ambient, I don't need it, but I know why you would need it. So yeah. What is the main advantage of Grafana? As Johnny said, Grafana is way prettier. That being said, I only use Grafana to show the data for the how it's called, storage nodes. I have 3 storage nodes that Prometheus is crunching data, then pushing to Grafana and showing nice graphs and trends of how much money I've earned in crypto. Crypto is good. So that I was really into Grafana. I had a lot of graphs at one point. I was tracking, motions in sensors, over time. I don't know if anybody has worked the company. I think it's from Netherlands, called ClickView. They were top notch, maybe the first one before Tableau that were doing visual data representation. It was like 10 years, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And at that time, data visualization was only starting in a real sense of word, and they were able to visualize any type of data. And if you know how to align data, you can somehow try and find trends. And what you are really looking for is some trends or things that pop above or fall below certain threshold. So I really loved graphs, and I have master in economics. So I like numbers and I like Grafana, and I was pulling everything I could into InfluxDB and doing Grafana, and after like 3 months, I said, why? Do I really want to look every day at my graph of power consumption or whatever? No, I just need, like simple lines showing me trends. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it between certain normal values? And that's something that you can do in the UI pretty nicely these days with Home Assistant. But remember, when I started, Home Assistant database had a lot more issues. It was much slower. It couldn't keep up data for that long. You had to clean everything out every 3 or 7 or whatever days. If not, you could hog up the database and it could grow to terabytes of data. Exaggerating, but something like that. Now it's much easier to handle larger amounts of data, to keep trends in Home Assistant and things like that. So Grafana will always be better visualization tool, always, but still for simple tasks these days it's much more easier and convenient to do it in a Home Assistant. Teme. No, you cannot. You cannot. In toilet you have to wiggle. Tala Habash, hi, nice seeing you. Okay, let me catch up. I have lux sensor for the faces out of the window. I don't rely on sun. solar eclipse is covered. I also live in the UK where it goes dark a lot. For that, I have a lot of lux sensors. Oh, by the way, let me jump again to my. Give me 5 minutes. I will remember the word. Main setup. My main setup. Okay, main setup is here. Teme, thanks for joining and thanks for becoming a supporter. By the way, if any of you guys is supporter and has Discord, don't forget to link your Discord account. No, don't forget to link your YouTube account in Discord, because this will open up another secret channel where fun stuff happens. Not really, but yeah, but we have small group of people there for that are channel members. So I wanted to show you my main setup. I'm slow. No, not this. Give me a second. It's this one here. Okay, so overview. This one here. Couple of weeks ago I made the video. It's a DIY solar powered weather station, blah blah blah, and I finally managed 2-3 days or nights ago to finish the last thing, and it now has working cardinal direction and wind heading. So this was the last sensor that was added, but I never finished writing code for it or calibrating it or whatever. I know that Johnny, the super secret channel, the super secret channel. We don't talk about super secret channel. So, which is fun, because if you look at here, now you have those nice funny colors and graphs in Home Assistant giving you, okay, I still have to add all the unknown values. I will do it later, but it now allows you to see history, for example, for wind. And based on the color, you can, oh, north is this color. Oh, look, the wind didn't blow north yesterday, but today it turned to north. Or if we expand, I think, I don't know how many days it keeps the data. I think 7 days. I think, I don't. Yeah, like it looks like 7 days. So this is the time where I still didn't calibrate it, and here starts the time. So first we had northwest wind, then after that it was on 12 around midnight, then 12 around evening, next 12, but that day evening we had around south, then it was wiggling all around, and then we have north wind today, which is, first of all, you can put it as a graph in Home Assistant. You can use the HACS, for example, to represent this data. Grafana would allow you to make much prettier graphs, for example, for this and trends, and you would be able to dig down into data to see out of this period what was the longest period the direction was north, for example, etc. But yeah. So as you can see, this project is now finally done. I have pushed the latest version of the code to the separate GitHub repository where the GitHub files for the ESP Home are. So if anybody wants to use this for wind, you can use it. Everything is working great except the rainfall, but this is topic for some other problem. So just look, okay, plotty. Without the fine inputs, it will be completely disabled. What hardware do you run? My hardware is, okay, so I have one instance running Synology, but Synology DSM 6.2, so not version 7. And this is my main setup. On my main setup, I'm not running DSM version 7. Then I have recording setup, which has DSM 7, and it has two instances. One instance is Home Assistant running in a virtual machine, the other instance is Home Assistant running in Docker, and those two systems are used for testing and recording. This is main setup, and this is my recording setup. Just give me a second. So this is my recording setup. Then I have another testing system on a Raspberry Pi. Then I have another production system on a Raspberry Pi 3. Test system is on Raspberry Pi 4. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So my primary system is running on Synology. Plotty more. With Plotty, is there a way to smooth all the jaggy edges? I don't know. I don't use Plotty. I have the problem is I know I've talked with a lot of guys that create videos. The problem is that it takes for a video that is 15 minutes long. The recording can be up to 45, 50, 60 minutes long. Editing takes usually double the time or triple the time of the recorded material. So if I have 1 hour of recorded material, it will take me at least 3 hours to edit it and make 15-minute video. And a recording takes some time, and then preparing for the video, not just like preparing, getting the idea, but testing and things like that. So it ends up that I usually what I do is my Wednesday is free day, so I try to record video up to Monday evening, meaning either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday afternoon. Start editing at Monday afternoon. On Tuesday, finish editing and release it to the channel members, because YouTube channel members get preview or early access to videos. And then when it's public time to release video for public, I really am free. That day I have nothing to do, and Wednesday and Thursday are 2 days where I'm free, and then I work on my system. So I don't have that much time to experiment, unfortunately, on my own system. And if I would have to say, I would say that my system is suffering. For example, I've created helpers in Home Assistant that handle time for specific tasks. So I don't have hard-coded times for wake-up alarm. So anytime I want to change wake-up for kids, which usually wake up at the same time for school, but there are days when I have to change it. I was not using calendar. I'm still not using calendar for that, but it was hard-coded. Finally, 2 days ago, I've just replaced fixed time with the input date time field. My morning routine, which played the text file or script, also was hard-coded. And yet in the helpers, I had predefined those helpers. So it really is, it's sometimes to get from an idea to finished product in my system, it really takes a long time. On the other hand, I also try to, each thing that I record, I also try to embed it in my system. So for example, proximity, which was the video I did last week, proximity one is working here, everything except home, and I have to figure out why my home proximity sensor is not working as I want it to work. The other ones are working great, even better than I intended. So I have problem that if I go from location A, I have to pass near the location B, and it detects me at location A, but I wanted then to ignore the location B. For example, I go to my parents' house, and on my way to my parents is my office, and if I move away from office, it says, oh, listen, BT has left the office. Yeah, I did a couple of hours ago. I'm just passing by. So I have to tweak that part there, and also figure out what's going on with home zone. Uh, I'm late. Siegfried, yeah, I've read your bottom comment and top comment. So I have all my plant sensors also have, and most of the motion sensors have lux sensors. I never tried. It would be fun really to try to see because all those sensors are in fixed position. So if you look like if there is a box like this, for example, one sensor is here, the other one is here. That's like this, and sun goes from here to here. So first there will be heat of the sun on this sensor, then both sensors, then only on this sensor. So you could even triangulate or position the location of the sun by using combination of flux sensors, but I of course never played or tried it. Teme, once again, thank you for becoming supporter. Sometimes my model does not react to toggling function, but reports power measurements. Zigbee 23, what could cause the unreliable behavior? Okay. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if your Zigbee control. There are some things that you can always try. First of all, check is it only one device or multiple devices? If it's only one device, check if you have any kind of Wi-Fi or if it's near your normal Wi-Fi network, because we talked previously, Zigbee and Wi-Fi unfortunately share some similar channel allocation. So for example, first channels on the Wi-Fi network match the first channels on the Zigbee network, and if you use that, it can be some interference there. It's all the same, but only one outlet. I would really try to move it just temporarily to some other location and see if it helps. It can be some kind of interference. If you have other outlets, outlets are considered to be permanently powered devices, and as such should behave as routers. Of course, it depends on the manufacturer, but most of the power outlets are also the routers. So if you have other nearby, it should expand your network. But as I said, try to move it somewhere else. Yeah, repairing can help, and as I mentioned, I didn't finish because my line of thought is really bad. So try to move away the controller, the stick, from everything. So I have 1.5 meter long cable, and I've moved my Zigbee USB board from my Synology, so it's not directly hooked up, it's hooked up through the USB cable, and it's also the further away as possible from router, access point, and other potential electromagnetic interferences. And while I cannot give you 100% accurate results, I did see improvement in the responsiveness of my network. So that's one thing. Second, what kind of router do you use? I had a chat with somebody on the Discord, private DMs, and the question is, I have firmware version this and this on this stick. Do I really need to update it? No, it should work. But if you look, newer versions of firmwares do have some improvements. For example, some Akara sensors were not supported. For the CC2652P boards, power was increased. So check version of the firmware on the board and see if there is a newer version. It's not just cosmetic, like Zigbee to MQTT newer version, you have newer devices and maybe the UI looks different. Firmwares really are improving on the functional part of the stick, so try also that. Try just moving it, moving it away, like normal USB-A to USB-A, female to male cable, where you just move 30 centimeters from your Nookie. It can, it doesn't have to help you, but it can really help you. And as I said, just check the firmware release. I was checking now. There is a newer version from, for example, for the, I think the latest version from the Koenig, from the Zigbee to MQTT for the Z-Stack is version from the February, late February this year. But for me, it doesn't bring any. Yeah, the latest version does have improved power for 2 types of the sticks and some fixes for the TouchLink. I don't use TouchLink, but one of my sticks is CC2652P, and it increases from 5 decibel to 9 decibel, if I'm correct, something like that. And Siegfried, yeah, I know, but don't worry about it. I did check if even if I power the board, directly, still due to how I am calculating voltage, it is not perfect. This is not the voltage for the ESP board. ESP board is receiving constant 3.3, so that's no issue. It's just off, yeah, as far as I know. But it's working okay. I did have one issue with it, and it was something happened. I thought that the board died because it's now been running on the sun and the rain for the last 2 months. I didn't seal up the case. I'm still sometimes opening, just checking something, resetting or whatever, doing with the this weather station. And it did show all the data was present in the UI, but whenever I pressed on the graphs, all graphs were like flatlined, dead. And I was like, oh my god, something, something happened. I know that it shouldn't refresh data. It says that it has latest data, but it's always the same data. All the sensors, it's impossible for voltage, lux, wind direction, wind speed, pressure to be like flatline all the time. And I've reset the board in terms of removing power, blah blah blah. Not reset in terms of clearing the firmware, but just rebooting, I would call it that. A few times, nothing. It's always the same. And then I restarted Home Assistant, and it was just a visual problem with the graphs. Everything is working perfectly. I think that my dog is telling me I should wrap up the stream. It's already 8:05. What indoor camera would you recommend for Home Assistant? I have Eufy. I'm not good with indoor cameras. I have very old. Oh, my Reolink camera. Two and a half years ago, I think I recorded videos about Reolink, and I had 2 cameras. One I give, one I've sent away. We made. Who was the winner? Oh my God, who was the winner for the board? Mark. Yeah. So Mark won the board. Mark won the camera. I sent 1 camera to him. I left myself the other camera, and it died 10 days ago. And just to compare, I have D-Link cameras. They are 720p. That can be either internal or external. They are not pan-tilt zoom. And I've installed it back and using currently that camera that's been running for 6, 7, 8 years without problem. No, it's not using MQTT. It's directly ESP home. That's the issue. If it wouldn't send data, I would have unknown or empty values. So I will be getting a couple of indoor cameras soon for testing. I need only one thing from the internal camera, no matter if it's pan-tilt camera, if it's static camera. I just want to have RTSP stream available. If I talk with the vendor, for example, Switchbot, I've talked to them. They were offering to send me camera. I just asked, do you have RTSP? Said no. Are you planning? Yes. Okay, great. When you have new firmware, please send me one for testing. And that's it. I don't want to play with anything currently without RTSP stream. So I think I will be receiving 2 cameras for test. And I will be playing with them and we will see if they are any good. I don't have that much. I did a couple of my friends from the office brought me their cameras, but I wasn't satisfied with them. I think one was Xiaomi, and yeah, it's okay camera if you want to use it standalone and not integrated Home Assistant. And I need, I don't just want, I need this stuff to be integrated Home Assistant. My micro PC soon. Can I be sure that when I move my Zigbee and Z-Wave dongles, I won't destroy my networks? No. If you make, Jeff, if you make a backup, then most probably you would be. I don't have any kind of experience with Z-Wave, so I wouldn't tell you about it anything. And if I tell you anything about Z-Wave, please don't listen to me. For the Zigbee, you should be able to create backup. For the Zigbee, the process of migrating from one system to the other should work without a glitch. So if you make a backup, it should work on new system. There is also a way from Zigbee to pull the backup state, so you can create double backup of just states, but it should work. So yeah, so no, my weather station is not using MQTT for retain values. This was glitch in I think it was 2022.5.1 version. I didn't see in the release notes of the version 3 and I think 4 now if the bug was it or it was just like a glitch in startup or when the database was upgraded or something, but it just stuck. When the funny thing is that when if I would be more observant, I would have noticed that the values change, but the line stays the same. So for example, it would say 19 degrees, 20 degrees, 24 degrees. So the numbers were changing, but the graphs were flat. Am I here successfully integrated? Oh, I don't. Yeah. But this should be copied with the configuration, should it be? Shouldn't it be copied with the configuration? If you have backup of your whole system, so on the Raspberry Pi you do full system backup, which includes the add-on, and that should include those keys for the network. Unfortunately, no. I do have X10 Pro, motion sensor, switch, something else, but I haven't even tried. I think that it is supported. Yeah, but it requires... I think that I even have this CM11A. So something is required. I haven't played with X10 for a long time. When I had to reinstall due to own fault using container installation, I couldn't back up. No. Okay, so there are a couple of things which, being part of the Home Assistant Creators Network, gets you access to talk with devs. So I had to chat with them in regard to backup in Docker version. Docker backup was created for 2 reasons. Of course, first reason is backup, but the second reason, the second reason is to allow simpler migration from Docker to full supervised or OS version. So that's why the Docker version doesn't have restore, and by the looks of it, it will not have restore. There are few reasons. There are a few reasons why, but the most important thing is restore does following. Restore shuts down Home Assistant, and on the supervisor level, oh god, my tongue is on the supervisor level, it is then unpacking the files, copying everything, etc. which on Docker version you cannot. If you shut down the Docker container, nothing's running. So if you think of it, it's really logical, and yeah, they need supervisor for this. So that's why we have possibility to create backup, but also it's very easy to restore Docker version. So in Docker, you just shut down the Docker and either overwrite or unpack a new folder and pull that new folder in the Docker container. So the restore procedure as such is just unzip the file and push it to that folder where you want your configurations or where the configuration file needs to be. Yeah. That's it. Unfortunately, that's it. There is no other way. Oh, let's see. Nick Shabalovich, thanks a lot. Mitch, thanks. Michael, thanks. And of course, Teme, thanks for becoming a YouTube channel member. I have to wrap up my stream for today. Most important is to copy config files from... yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's it. But I was just like talking for the Docker version of Home Assistant. But also backup is easy for the Docker because you should have direct access to all of the files locally or whatever device Docker is running. So that shouldn't be a problem. If you tar everything or zip everything or copy everything, it should include all the necessary files. Thanks once again for joining. As I mentioned, next week's video will be about YouTube integration, Home Assistant Customs integration for the YouTube channel, because Johnny asked about it. And if you have any ideas on future videos, please drop me a line. It's really hard to, think of all the videos next. I know at least about, oh yeah, I didn't mention, no, I don't have time. I have to wrap up the stream. I have to eat my dinner. So we will be finishing the stream. Thanks once again, everybody who joined today, and I hope you will have a great rest of the weekend. And I will be seeing you next time. Duplicate is very good. No, I cannot continue talking. I will be evicted. Oh, Eurovision Song Contest. 2 points. Thank you guys. Don't forget, click the like button. How many likes? Let me check. 17. That's much better. Thank you all, and have a great Eurovision Song Contest weekend. I don't think I will be watching it, but I know that my wife has positioned herself and she will be turning on the Eurovision Song Contest. No, she said nope. I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.
When the downtown lights start to go out in